Jake Paul's got to fight. So he puts out an announcement. I've got to fight. It's done. Talked about it's a boxer. Talked about it's a winning record. I believed he talked about either or youth or size. So trying to check the boxes, right? He listens to you guys. He listens to the base. This is what you guys have demanded that you wanted. Jake letting you know he's got it. Coming up in October. I don't believe him. I don't believe him. You must use history as the greatest trajectory to the future. Jake Paul was in this exact same spot. Just by example, it was roughly 4 months ago. He booked Madison Square Garden. He had a beautiful card. Brought in a beautiful co-main event who had just sold out Madison Square Garden. Just by example. And later in the game, after this announcement, he announces that it's Will. He's going to fight with Fury. So, very hard to keep a secret. Why don't I believe him? Well, it's hard to keep a secret. If there was a boxer that had this opportunity, right? I mean, you could telephone, telegraph, or tell a fighter. A story cannot get out of a room. It just can't. I've been in studios, Fox and ESPN, just to name drop a little bit for you, but we will have a discussion. It will get out to the media before we can record it and put it out, which is only going to take us 15 minutes. Who did it? Who leaked? Who'd they tell? Who grabbed a cell phone? It's one of those things. So now you have a boxer whose life is going to be changed. His team didn't say anything. His mom didn't say anything. His workout partners didn't say anything. What, because they didn't know? Of course they know. The guys in the gym, of course they know. It's just very rare. It's very rare to keep a secret. And I say this because I worry. I do like the Jake Paul experiment. He's partying with a lot of money. He's taking big risks here. He's saying that he has an opponent. He's talked about him. He's identified him to some degree. But to believe that's true, you then have somebody who's keeping a colossal secret. I also haven't seen that level of promotion. Not with anybody. I didn't see it with Ali. I didn't see it with Tyson. I don't see it with Mayweather. I don't see it with McGregor or any star that you want to talk about. I do not see the announcement of the A side only. As a matter of fact, the only time that I have seen this that I can recall was roughly 4 months ago with Will Fury, with what turned out to be Will Fury. And when we got the rest of that story, that deal wasn't done. I think that Jake's an honest guy. Right? Whatever you are is what you're going to think the other guy is. If you ever meet somebody and he constantly thinks you're lying, and you're not, but he constantly thinks you're lying, he's lying. This is one of the human psychology, right? I'm stating the obvious. I think Jake's an honest guy. I think when Jake says he's going to do something, he does it. I think when Jake agrees to something on the phone, that's the end of it, and you can count on it. That's what I think. And I think that's how far Jake is right now. I don't think he has a signed contract. I don't think he's waiting. I don't think he's doing a press release. I think he's trusting a community that just burned him. That's what I think. Now, there are ways that you could keep a secret. Like here, I'll give you a fine example. Anderson Silva. That's the fight. That was rumored. But that's a guy who's been there and done that. That's a guy that isn't going to just be dying to tell people so that he can see his Twitter account going up. That's a guy who has money in the bank, and this isn't a life change money. You're dealing with a professional. You could tell Anderson, by example, here's the deal, and do not say anything until, and I'm going to do the release. And he would do it. But it's a very different deal. There's a veteran, and there's experience, and there's just some stuff that I don't think he's got Anderson. I don't think he does. He stated for the audience a few things. I just can't remember. He stated it's a professional boxer. He stated with a winning record. I can't recall if he stated the youth part, but it'd be a big clue if he did. I mean, if we want to go down the road of Anderson, and by the way, that's what Jake wants us to do. He wants us to come out and speculate. You put out a press release and you keep a little information. It's to get people talking. We're doing it. We're doing exactly what he wants. We're not wrong to try to guess here. I don't think he's got it. Is that a problem? It's his money. It's his plan. I'm attempting to make a guess, and quite frankly, I'm a little bit annoyed by it. I mean, I don't love it from a marketing standpoint. I don't know this strategy. I'm not familiar with the strategy. I've now seen this strategy play out for a second time. I didn't enjoy it the first time. Right? I mean, you got to take risks. You got to go try something, try to do something new. You announce a card, you announce a date, you give a couple of details, you keep the guy's name out. Okay, maybe that's going to work. Well, no, it doesn't. It's quite frankly, it's annoying. I don't want it to be a history. This isn't what I want to continue. And by the way, if I'm on the topic of Jake Paul, what's going on with KSI? Who is KSI? My understanding back when Paul and KSI fought, and I think it was Logan, by the way. Could have that one wrong. They sold out an arena. They went over to England. It was U2 Star versus Rapper. But I said that, and I got corrected. That is not what KSI is famous for. Okay, fine. I don't have to know that. But the dude can fight. I mean, how are you doing that? I've wondered that about the Paul brothers. They're working constantly. When are they getting in the gym? When are they getting their road time in? Truly. Then you look at Logan as well, going over to WWE and just doing spectacular. Logan is doing so good in the WWE that one of the great minds and veterans of the sport, a man named Jim Cornette, thinks he's lying. Logan came out and said, I did not practice this. I saw it. I went out to WrestleMania and did it. And that is very hard to believe. He hit some spots in there from going up the ropes for a frog splash. He hit a suplex into a suplex into a suplex. I mean, he did things that would be unbelievable for somebody that didn't practice it. The other side of the coin is when. When are either of these boys practicing? And I bring that to you to go to KSI. I'm trying to give him props. KSI fights over the weekend. He does like a handicap match where it's not the same, but he takes on two guys in one night. He beat both guys. It doesn't really matter who that is. That's a hard deal to do. I have fought two men in one night. Very proud of it. Tournaments used to be a thing. It used to be 3. We never had that opportunity. By the time I came along, they cut it from 8 men to 4 men. I entered 2 of them. I won 2 of them. I say that it shined my wheels. I realized that I'm doing it, but I'm very proud of it. It was hard. That's very hard work. And you're very sore when you go out there. But guys, imagine it from this perspective. Had I not won it, had I lost in the first round, I don't go to the final. So what? It's a bracket. Somebody else does. Off you go. KSI promised people ahead of time, I'm going to fight 2 men. What if he lost the first fight? But what would happen if he lost the first fight? What if he got knocked out? Then he's going to just fulfill the card and fulfill the audience, and he's going to take a little rest and walk out there? That's not right. We don't want to see an LA gang riot. We're trying to see a sporting competition. So it all went well, but I saw KSI's fight with Paul. I just can't remember if it was Logan or Jake. It ended up being a draw. But he could fight. He really could. He could stay in there. He could keep his eyes. I mean, you have to practice to be able to do that. He had his conditioning. He kept it up. I remember there's the same thing when I watched Logan fight. And I could even see it in the Nate Robinson fight. As one-sided as that was, Nate does something called a feint. It's just where you flinch the guy. You might have done that as a kid, or you had some jerk that did it to you, or comes up and they go, 2 for flinching, like punches you in the shoulder. That was a dorky thing, but kids used to do it. That's real. That's real in professional fighting. You will feint a guy just to get a reaction. Oh, you freeze him just for a second. Oh, he thinks the right's coming, the left coming. The whole night is doing that. And sometimes you don't see it. Sometimes you don't see that as an audience. Very hard to do. You do not see it on TV and then you go out and do it. It is not the playground. 2 for flinching. It's not like that. To get a response and get a reaction from another fight. I just noticed that Jake did it. Just in that Nate Robinson fight. 3 different times. Nate flinched him, froze him, and went to work. It's very hard to do. You have to be in the practice room. You have to study. You have to have good trainers. You have to have an extreme discipline to get into range and do a flinch. I mean, it's chaos. You're throwing punches. There's chaos out there unless you're polished. And Jake was polished. He was. In the Nate Robinson fight, he actually showed a lot of skill. That's not the way the story gets told. Oh, Nate was an NBA guy and he didn't belong in there. No, there was more to it. I'm just asking, where are these guys practicing? How are these guys getting good? What are these guys, naturals? They used to box when they were 8, 9 years old and never mention it, and there's no tapes of them. I mean, it's a true question. You can't just go into boxing. You can't just go sell out a arena. You can't just take on 2 guys in one night. It's interesting, but I'm into it. If you have guys that want to put the time and they want to put the work in and they're celebrities, I think there's an angle. I don't know why he's going in there with pro boxers. I don't begrudge it. He's got his goals. He's got his dreams. Good for him. I don't understand it. And I don't think it's necessary.